We are back. It's Manfred versus Harper. We've got a Happy Gilmore 2 full-on Mothership at the Movie review. And it's Mo Gaba Day. It's the beginning of Watch DA Live. What's up, everybody? How we doing on a Monday night edition of Watch DA Live? Traditionally, weekly, we do this on Sunday nights, especially during football season when we go at 7 o'clock Eastern time following Sunday's afternoon NFL action. But I was back traveling from my weekend vacation. It was like a 3-day vacation. We took off Friday morning, myself, the Bourbon Bell, AJ, and my mom. We went down to Cape May at the southernmost point of the Jersey Shore, had the Bar A stopover in there on Friday, and then came back last night. So instead of rushing through traffic and then trying to make sure I made it home in time, just figured we would move it to a Monday edition. And lo and behold, what happens after moving it to a Monday? That's right. It just so happens it's Mo Gaba Day, which is absolutely perfect and serendipitous and beautiful and gorgeous. And so I'll give you my serenade about Mo Gaba and Mo Gaba Day coming up here shortly. But I'm so glad you're with us. As a little reminder, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, the YouTube channel specifically, whatever you're watching this on, Instagram Live, on X, or on YouTube. Make sure you are locked in to the YouTube channel. That's way when you're subscribed, you get the alerts of when we are going live and there's brand new video up. Also, make sure you are joined. If you are on YouTube, you can hit join above me or use that URL code in your browser. And that way you'll find the link to join, because members and members of the Jedi Council, for a low, low price, less than a chicken sandwich a month, gets you use of all custom emojis here. And they're all ridiculous inside jokes from years on the radio, including this current iteration on Sirius XM. We also are going to give you the chance every single day, whether there's specials or not for the public at large, of a discount code to our store. And Ask DA anything once a month. We did our first one last month. It went an hour and 45 minutes. We'll do the same thing coming up in August. On August the 8th is the next Ask DA Anything. You have to be a member to be part of that, and that is when the gloves come off and there is no filter. So make sure you are a member by joining. And finally, make sure you're shopping at watchdastore.com for goodies such as this: t-shirts, hoodies, tanks, and kitchenware, and the like. Just tastes more refreshing when it's out of a Watch DA Live mug. All right, let's kick things off with your Furious Five. Tonight, we are going to do a full deep dive into Happy Gilmore 2 because I feel like this is one of the most anticipated sports-esque movies in a long time. A, Sandler's in it. B, nostalgia plays a factor. And C, the Netflix marketing campaign, along with the celebrity cameos, put this on social media everywhere. And so I thought, you know what? We should definitely deep dive into this one. My friend Adam Kaufman, who is a true cinephile, he loves movies and really loves 90s sports movies. He's joined me on the radio in the past. He's going to join me coming up here in about 25 minutes from now for the full deep dive. But I will say this about Happy Gilmore. I came in with ridiculously low expectations, and I came out of it going, that was really good. Now, maybe it was because it was able to jump easily over my very low barometer, but I would give this an A-. That's right, an A-. There were a few corny things that I would have tweaked, a few extraneous threads perhaps I would have tied up a little bit tighter. There's a few acting jobs, a few performances that were really flat. By and large, though, I really liked it, and I did not think I was going to. All of these retread, reboot sequels, especially ones done for a streaming service and not the big theaters, have oftentimes been so lame. And this one was pretty good. Now, I beg the question, was this, I was laughing at jokes from 1995 and they just so happen to be recycled in front of me? Or was this really funny? I don't know. I'm going to dissect that with cough. But I went into it thinking I was going to do a big, ugh. And I was laughing loudly on the couch in the basement, so much so that the Bourbon Bell came down last night and said, man, you really like this movie. I can hear you laughing from upstairs. I'm like, I really do. And I can't believe I'm saying that. So specifics on what I liked about it coming up here with cough, the deep dive on it. But if you're looking for A, a quick summer laugh, B, a little nostalgia without feeling awful and queasy about it, and C, if you're looking for a movie you can watch with the family, Happy Gilmore 2 checks all the boxes. It does. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. So much that I'm actually suggesting you watch it. And I thought it was going to be a labor to get through it, but not so much. And there's been many a Netflix Adam Sandler movie that has been a labor to get through. This was not. I thought it was really good. All right. Big story today came out of Major League Baseball and the reports that there has been a contentious meeting between Rob Manfred and the Phillies. Bryce Harper reportedly got into Rob Manfred's face and told him to get the hell out of the clubhouse when Manfred brought up the idea of a salary cap. Couple of things here. Number one, I have no problem with Bryce Harper doing this because Bryce Harper makes the most money in that clubhouse. Bryce Harper has the most financial security, and thus the guys that have the most security with the most money and the most dollar signs or zeros should be the ones that stick up for everybody else because they can't be released. They can't be demoted. They can't be shunned. Bryce Harper's not going anywhere, and he made all of the cash. What you don't need is the really wealthy superstars being quiet because they already got theirs. Bryce Harper easily could sit back and go, man, I'm paid until I retire, so I don't care if the salary cap or not. This is not my fight. This is the fight for the mid-level veterans. This is the fight for the young players. This is a fight for the Paul Skeens of the world. But instead, Harper was the one that got agitated and said, get the hell out of here. I got no problem with that. I'd rather see him verbal than him being apathetic. That being said, Rob Manfred, this suggests that there is going to be labor war afoot, which would be the worst thing for Major League Baseball. As somebody who grew up in the 80s and then lived through the devastation of the 1994 strike, there has never, ever, ever truly been a full, I would say, buyback by the American public at large for baseball. 94 was the first of a couple of incidents, but the first really devastating incident of, I can't trust this league anymore. I don't trust the sport that I grew up loving. Not from me personally, but from the American public at large. It was the romanticism of baseball, and that started to get popped with labor stoppages in the 70s and 80s. But they never missed the World Series. There were stoppages, there were strikes, but there was never, ever a missed World Series. In 94, we had Tony Gwynn going for 400. We had Matt Williams, of all people, going for 60 or 61 home runs. And we had a potential Yankees and Expos World Series, of which everybody wanted to see because that was before the reboot of the Yankees dynasty a couple of years later. When all of that went away, the American public never forgave in full. And then steroids happened, and that eroded the trust in the game even more. And today we sit at a place where it's in a minimized cultural spot. A part of that is the sport itself. Part of that, though, is what happened in the 90s and then early 2000s. If Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred's 2 years ahead of this and going into the locker rooms and clubhouses and saying, we got to talk about the salary cap, it means he is bracing for the very worst. And this does not portend well. I do not like hearing that we are 2 years away from a labor stoppage and there's already these types of friction points. I don't know if the players will ever accept it. Bryce Harper in that rant said players are willing to miss 162. I don't know if the owners are going to say, let's go big on a salary cap and then back off a little bit by suggesting, okay, we conceded to get a victory. We shall see. But this is the first of many, you can be sure, very intense, very combative meetings between players and commissioner, players, front office, players, and owners. You can be sure of it. And the fact is, Rob Manfred doesn't feel like a great guy to be carrying out unpopular opinions or unpopular plans. So let's see how this goes. I got a feeling this is the start of many wildfires. By the way, trade deadline is coming up here. And so a little bit later on in the show, our friend, our diaper DAlien, Jack Knight, is going to give us his top 3 trade deadline rumors. Next up, a little football. Aaron Rodgers in camp, in Steelers camp, speaks to Kyle Brandt of NFL Network and has very complimentary things to say about Terry Bradshaw after Bradshaw ripped him earlier in the summer and said the Steelers should not bother waiting on him. I thought Aaron Rodgers said the right things that you want to hear him say. He doesn't really know me. He thinks that he knows me from things like the documentary or from other things. But if we were to sit down and talk, I'm sure we would find common ground. And I've got nothing but respect for a living legend like that. Actually, Aaron Rodgers was on the nose with the temperament and the messaging of that response. That being said, there were 2 things there that I have to question. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers is left with no chess move there, because what are you going to do? Create a fight in a firestorm with a living legend of the Steelers who you're playing your first season with? You've accomplished nothing in Pittsburgh. Nobody cares if nobody has any undying loyalty in Pittsburgh to Aaron Rodgers. So they're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So he can't wage a war of words with Terry Bradshaw. He'll never win that. He's never going to win 4 Super Bowls, let alone 1 more than likely in Pittsburgh. And Bradshaw, is part of all of those incredible teams and incredible memories. So he's left without a chess move there to fight back. Rodgers likes to punch down. He likes to punch down to the media. In this case, he would be punching up towards a legend, and he's not going to do it. So he's smart, but honestly, there's no move for him anyway. Number 2, I honestly think Rodgers' very perfectly scripted response is what makes Aaron Rodgers so dangerous, is because Rodgers can say the perfect thing in the perfect tone and sound authentic. And yet, when Rodgers says things like, well, he thinks he knows me because of my documentary or whatever, Rodgers dictated what was in the documentary. So he can't sit here and say, oh, people think they might know me, but they don't really know me based on what? That documentary? That was the vision. That was the facade that he wanted to put up for people to absorb. Also, for Rodgers, a guy that takes any soapbox he can get and is demeaning towards any take that is opposite his, is always smartest guy in the room, is always, I know you don't, is always suggesting that the media doesn't know, the public doesn't know, this is taken out of context, nobody asked me, you don't have the real sources. It's very convenient today to say, well, if he would only sit down with me and have an honest conversation, then, he could keep an open mind. When has Rodgers done that with people that he disagreed with? When has Rodgers ever been the magnanimous one? And here he is asking for Bradshaw to do that. Well, keep an open mind. You don't really know me. So I don't trust Aaron Rodgers, but I will say that his response was on point. But again, there really wasn't another response. Next up, you guys know how much I am passionate about uniforms. And my screed a couple of weeks ago was, don't do the dome for Cleveland. Don't do the dome in Chicago. Because ultimately, that will age very poorly. What we are living through today is grasping at the sport's past in so many ways. People miss the, quote, good old days of sports. They miss the simplicity. They miss things that are no longer there because it became a bloated, kind of crazy, out of control creation in many ways. Now, sports is still a wonderful place to root and to unify and to, to have loyalty and to share memories with, but there's a lot that people miss. And sports will always be a place that people are tethered to the past in because that's when they got hooked. Almost nobody gets hooked today. There are a few. There's people there's kids every single day that are figuring it out, but your majority of sports fans have been tethered to something that happened in the past. So making sure you respect the past is the smartest way to keep those fans hungry and connected and engaged. Well, look at college football uniforms. Let's run this package here of the uniforms that are all across the nation right now being debuted this season around college football. You are talking about old school, basic, solid color uniforms. Here's Rutgers, and it's red. We're just doing red. Oh, interesting. Okay. What's the next slide here? We're talking about all these helmets and uniforms going away from new school, newfangled logos and loudness. Oh, the Cyclones. Standard operating wear there, right? And now the script Cyclones across the helmet, which was an old school logo dating back to the 80s. Okay, so now we're going to go back. It's simple. Where's the teal? Where's the black? Oh, Tulane, again, going back old school, the Fighting Green wave. It's a wave from the 70s with boxing gloves on. You're talking about going back to very basic colors and uniforms. Think about how many black matte iterations there were of college football unis recently. Think about how chrome came into play here. Again, BC football, what are we seeing? Standard numerals, standard red jerseys, standard gold pants. This is what they're debuting. Across the board, as I looked at all the college football uniforms being debuted, they're all throwbacks. Here's Houston. What are they doing? They're throwing back to the Houston Oilers. Now, they did this last year as well, but why does this work? Nostalgia, an old school vibe, right? Unless you are one of the truly forward progressive brands like Oregon, everybody wants to go retro. Here's Hawaii. Let's go back basic. Even Oregon has the old school duck on a throwback version of their helmet, the Donald Duck. Even they have the yellow and green. Georgia Tech, what do we have? Monochromatic. Let's get back to simplicity, basics. It's amazing just how often you are seeing the, quote, new era, this is perfect, actually reflect the old era. There's no more taste anymore. And by the way, taste for flamboyant and loud and garish. And college football is a pretty good indicator of where sports fashion is going because they are oftentimes the sport that challenges convention most. If they're the ones right now going back to the past, it means that's what Nike and Under Armour, that's what these apparel companies are vibing and feeling, that the fans want that because it got too out of control in terms of noisiness and colors and loudness and getting away from what the school colors are. For me as a Syracuse grad, it's blue and orange. Let's not Let's stay on point. Let's stay on brand. I don't need anything besides that. All of these schools that tried all these alternate colors, you had fan bases going, but I don't have those colors in my closet. That's not on my flag outside of the porch. That's not my sweater that I wore to school. Like, let's get real here. And thankfully, you're seeing this come back to college football. Baseball trade deadline is coming up in a couple of days. And Alex Cora had an interesting comment. Alex Cora, manager of the Red Sox, who had worked at ESPN, said, I'm telling my guys, don't believe anything, because I've seen the ESPN green room. I've been on those shows, and I've seen guys make things up. And I thought about the conversation we had last week about sports journalism versus just sports news. And there's a big differential. And I understand the way the world is right now, attention economy, you're trying to grab people's attention and keep that attention. And how do you do so? You have to be scintillating, you have to be interesting, you have to grab their attention and try to hold on to it. Deep-seated journalism sometimes is boring, sometimes is hard to deliver the shocking stuff, and so it's just fallen by the wayside. But what Alex Cora is talking about, I think, is important, because there are reporters that aren't making things up. There are deep-seated reporters with resources that make phone calls, that are not trafficking in Twitter, that are not trafficking in crazy, outlandish trade, rumors and saying, I'm hearing this just to create clickbait, okay? There are some that are still doing it, but there's many that are just creating nonsense for the sake of a click. Now, all of this is pretty innocent. I mean, if a crazy trade rumor comes across your social media feed, what does it matter if it's not true? I mean, it doesn't really hurt anybody's life ultimately. The player that thinks maybe they would have been traded will probably get a pat on the back from management or the manager and say, oh, that was never true, right? For us, if it doesn't come true, it's like, oh man, that would have been cool. But all right, we're on to the next day. So it's a low type of risk in throwing out a crazy, outlandish trade proposal. But it should be noted that we should give credit and credence to the reporters that don't just do splashy trade rumors, because there are still some of them that are working in the trade and working their butt off to do it, and they deserve credit for doing so without the common, modern, let's just do something to get some clicks and boss will be happy. My follower count will go up. That's all that matters. And finally, I want to talk a little Mo Gaba Day for obvious reasons. I am wearing my shirt, Mo Strong, as you can see. And it's pretty amazing that we always do a Sunday night show. And tonight just happened to be Mo Gaba Day. And today is the anniversary of his passing. And this is the day that the Baltimore Orioles tweeted out celebrating the life and legacy of Mo, our forever 10th man. Classy gesture by the Orioles. If you ever get to go to Camden Yards, go to center field, walk behind the brick facade, and you will see all of the plaques of the team Hall of Famers. And you will see Frank Robinson and Brooks Robinson and Cal Ripken and on and on and on. You will also see Mo Gaba. He has a plaque there. The story of Mo Gaba is incredibly powerful, and it is worth spending some time if you're ever feeling low, if you're ever feeling like life or the world is always raining on you, the cloud is always overhead, or if you really need something to teach your kids about being your best when the world hands you its worst. Because that's Mo Gaba. When I was working overnights on CBS Sports Radio in 2013 and 2014, and then we moved to evenings in 2015 and 2016, there was a young man that had all the glee in the world in his voice, and he called up as Mo from Baltimore. Little Mo in Baltimore, Little Mo in Baltimore. Middle of the night he would call. We would joke around, Mo, does your mom know you're up? Does your dad know you're up? Does anybody know you're awake listening to sports radio, calling a sports radio station? And he would just laugh, and he had such an infectious laugh. He always had a great sports take. He was totally locked into the show. And what he particularly liked was the characters that we built on my show. And so your crazy galaxy of characters and storylines, he was totally all in on. And what I learned later, before I knew really who was calling, was that Mo was becoming a celebrity in his home city of Baltimore. Mo had cancer in his retina at 6 months old. He lost eyesight in that eye. Ultimately, he would lose eyesight in both eyes. He would be stricken by cancer throughout his entire life. And every time the doctors thought they had nipped it, it would come back. He was in a wheelchair. He was in and out of the hospital his entire life. He would never, ever, ever, ever lead with that. He would just lead with a smile, lead with laughter, lead with positivity. And I thought, well, this young man is this is beyond compare. This is beyond compare. And I started to dig a little bit more about this Mo in Baltimore who called us and learn his backstory and learn that he had become a local celebrity on Baltimore sports radio and connected with some of the people that had become close to the family. And I started to become close as well. Ultimately, I said, can I come down to see you? And I got the green light. And it was pretty obvious that I got the green light because Mo was not doing so well. It was around his 13th birthday, and his local municipality had a parade for him for graduating 8th grade to go into high school. Now, this is the type of guy this kid was, okay? He got a parade for graduating high school. He got a parade, okay? 13 years old, got a parade. The Baltimore Ravens invited him to training camp, had him run plays in the huddle. The Baltimore Orioles invited him to ask questions at Fan Fest. He was everywhere and everything in the city of Baltimore. Got to meet him, got to go into his home and spend a day with him. And it's one of the greatest days of my life. It is one of the greatest gifts of my life to have spent a day with Mo. I bought a Nerf football that whistled because I said, hey, you might not be able to see it, but Mo, you're going to hear it as I throw it to you. And boy, did we laugh in his backyard throwing that. Played video games. He could listen and pick up what was going on in the video game. He was so savvy. He loved Chick-fil-A. And what was amazing was when I stopped by his house, his mom, Sanzi, said, oh, you just missed Trey. Trey? Yeah, Trey Mancini. Wow. Member of the Orioles, who had become super close because he had battled cancer in his own right. This young man, Mo, was everybody's hero, everybody's. And ultimately, Mo was not doing very well. He did, unfortunately, pass away on this day a couple of years ago. I'm not joking when I tell you that night I was distraught. I went to my wife and said, I don't know how to kind of process this because he was my hero. And I looked up, and I'm not joking. It was an orange and purple sky. And he was the biggest Orioles and biggest Ravens fan. And there's a picture in the Baltimore Sun of the Orioles game that night in Baltimore. And there was an orange and purple sunset. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. I live 4 hours drive on the best day from Baltimore. And I had the same sunset that they did. And everybody in Baltimore says, I've never seen that sunset before. I haven't seen it since. I did a deep dive video on my trip to Baltimore when they had a ceremony the next year to honor him and to put his name on a street sign. There is Mo Gaba Way outside of the Raven Stadium. There is a plaque. I was at Camden Yards for Mo Gaba Day, and they unveiled a plaque because he's now in the Hall of Fame. And every year I get to go down to Baltimore and be part of the Ed Block Courage Awards. And there's a Mo Gaba Award they give out for true heroism. And Sanzi, his mom, is there. And we get to hug every single year. And we get to think about Mo and talk about Mo. I got my shirts all in my closet. I got my bobblehead on my shelf. And behind me, you'll see in that upper right-hand corner, Mo, who's wearing an Orioles jersey. And that's a painting that I will forever have on my wall no matter where I am. Today is another of many Mo Gaba days, and use it to remember all the good stuff you got going on. And use it to teach your kids what it's like to face real obstacles and smile through them and learn through them. And Mo taught me the most important lesson I could have ever learned. You get to choose every day how you feel. We're oftentimes under the guise that things that happen to us dictate how we feel. Something happens to us that's bad, upsetting, angering. That's what we are. But Mo was handed the absolute worst deck imaginable. And he didn't not have bad days. He had bad days. He told me he had bad days. But he said, what good is that going to do? So he said, I'm smiling through all of this. I'm laughing through all of this. First, for his mom. Second, for the other kids in that hospital that he spent time with. And third, because you get to choose. And why would you choose unhappiness? Why would you choose miserable? Why would you choose sad and angry? Mo was an angel on earth. He is my hero. Today is Mo Gaba Day. And celebrate with me. He is the absolute icon of all icons, and he's always watching this show from above. I love him dearly, and I love you guys for loving him as well. I tweeted out a video about my journey to Baltimore and about all of this. If you want to rewatch it, learn more about him, or show it to your family, your kids, or someone that might need uplifting, I tweeted it out today. It's on YouTube. Just search my name, Mo Gaba, and you will see that episode of Nomad, my travel series, my name spelled backwards. And I think you'll hopefully get a lot out of it, which I certainly did by making that video. On Mo Gaba Day, we're here doing this show. Unbelievable. And we're here to welcome on a close friend of mine. This guy has joined me throughout the years to break down movies of the obscure and of the popular, hits and not so hits. My guy, Adam Kaufman. Let's hear it for Kaufman. Koff, you and I text each other incessantly throughout the day, every single day. But now we get to look at each other over Zoom and break down Happy Gilmore 2. What could be better than that?
I mean, I thought we were good friends. I did. I know you introduced me as a good friend. I thought we were good friends. But then you bring me on after that emotional roller coaster talking about Mo Gaba Day. And I don't know how exactly we are supposed to laugh after that, other than, like you said, basically choosing happy. It was a beautiful tribute. And, you know, like you said, I've known you for a long time, obviously never had the pleasure, the experience, the honor of meeting Mo, but was familiar with his journey while he was still with us and since, and all of the different things you've done to celebrate him since. And it, again, wonderful tribute. And as I saw a lot of the comments scrolling across the bottom of the screen, I think, you know, the rest of us who never had the pleasure are at a loss for it.
Well, thanks, bro. And here's the best part about Mo. He wanted silliness. And so he is watching this show, I'm sure, and being like, yeah, so tell me about Happy Gilmore, DA. I got to hear about this. Okay, what'd you think about
wearing,
this?
Right? You see,
I see that you're wearing your very own Happy Gilmore jersey. Very nice.
Look, I'd turn around, but I'd knock my TV over behind me. But Gilmore 18 on the back, just like the one that Sandler's been rocking. I've had this for, you know, at least a few years now, hanging in the closet with no good reason to put it on other than this at this moment. So I'm glad you're mildly justifying the purchase. And
I love it.
Here we are.
I love it. So I came into the movie with pretty low expectations. I thought this was going to be another corny, bad Sandler Netflix film. And I particularly thought it was going to be a really disappointing struggle to get through the 2 hours 30 years later. And I found myself laughing loudly during it, really enjoying it. Some things I would change if I had the power, but overall, an extremely enjoyable movie. Shockingly so. I gave it an A-. What was your review?
So I think that review is really interesting because I can't tell you, like, people know I love movies and watch a lot of movies and don't sleep enough because I'm watching movies. And I have probably heard from more people about this movie than I have about any movie recently, just because of all of the hype, pomp, circumstance, expectations surround it going in. And you are, I got to tell you, I don't know if you spent much time on social media, but you're in rarefied air, man, to have viewed Happy Gilmore 2 in the way that you just described. The vast majority of people that I have heard from, and this kind of meshes from, sort of the vocal minority that you've seen on social media. It's a lot of worst movie ever. I couldn't make it through. I turned it off 45 minutes in, or I turned it off with a half hour left. I simply couldn't finish it. This movie was painful. Why did they do this? They're tarnishing the legacy, all of that stuff. I saw a tweet earlier today, and I wish I could remember who said it because I'd love to attribute it, but I think it was pretty spot on. You don't, like if it's Happy Gilmore 2 is kind of like a gas station hot dog. if you go in expecting it to be more than it is, that's on you. And I think a lot of people went into Happy Gilmore 2, not you, obviously, but a lot of people went into Happy Gilmore 2 expecting this to not only, honor the first one and really celebrate the first one and make all the inside jokes and bring back all the familiar characters 30 years later and all that stuff. But it was also like it was going to live up to it in a way. And that just is impossible. Like, there was no universe. You got Godfather and you got Godfather 2, right? Godfather 2 arguably better. Happy Gilmore 2 wasn't going to be better than Happy Gilmore. There's like one time in movie history that I can think of a situation where in a comedy the sequel was actually better than the original.
So what'd you give it?
That would be
what was your grade?
Jump Street over 21 Jump Street, by the way. I mean, it was fine. It was a hard C. Like, it wasn't it was a passing grade. Okay. It wasn't good, it wasn't terrible, it was what it was. Like, for all the worst movie ever, people, it wasn't even the worst movie in the Sandler catalog.
No kidding.
And that's
no kidding. There's like 10
Adam
worst Sandler films. Absolutely.
Oh, I pulled up, I don't know if you've gone through this exercise. I pulled up his Rotten Tomatoes page and reverse ranked it by lowest critic score.
Very nice.
Some of these you could
This is the academia I look for out of Adam Kaufman.
So it has the lowest one, which has a 0 on the tomato meter, was one of those straight to Netflix movies, The Ridiculous Six. I don't know if anyone remembers that movie. Probably not worth a watch when it gets a 0. Even the audience score was a 37 on that one.
Okay.
Jack and Jill got a 3. That movie is atrocious.
Didn't see it.
Awful. So bad. The Grown Ups movies, both absolutely worse than this, what we just saw. Now, this one I kind of take exception to. And this is where subjectivity comes in, like what you outlined before. Like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? I love the movie Bulletproof. Bulletproof got an 8 from the critics. So I'm not going to go through all of these, obviously. It's simply to say there are so many movies that Sandler has done that are viewed as worse than Happy Gilmore 2. I just think my issue ultimately was the plot was a mess. And it was over-the-top fan service with not necessarily too many cameos, but some of the wrong ones.
Okay, so I thought the plot was messy, but not a mess. Okay. Basically, the plot is Happy Gilmore has to come back in golf because he needs to send his daughter to dance class in France. Okay.
Are we allowed to spoil anything? Like, truly spoil anything?
Yeah, this is all spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the film, you don't want spoilers,
I'm going to give people
tune away right now.
I'm going to give people 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds of buffer to turn this off.
Yeah.
And then, like, 5 minutes in, he killed his wife.
Well,
what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell?
So his wife from The first movie we find out is now dead. Why? We don't really know why they had to write that in, but he killed her with a long drive. Okay, so she's dead. We find this in 5 minutes in. So he's now a single dad. I guess they have to make it a down in his luck Happy Gilmore. He also has 5 kids, 4 sons and a daughter. He's got to send the daughter to France for dance school.
Well, she was the one. Virginia was the one who handled all the finances. And
correct.
Screwed it up. Right. That was the reason.
So they set this plot, which is okay. So he's got to come back and golf. That's fine. That works. Then they add the alternate tour that he needs to save golf from, which is called what? What's it?
The Maxi League.
The Maxi Tour.
Which I don't like. There's a part of me, it felt a little more like PGL, right? That like Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy league. That they started because it's so different. But really the intended undertones are a very exaggerated, amplified, outright mocked PGA versus Live.
Yes. And I thought that was cool. And I thought you could have picked one or the other.
Yeah.
Like Happy Gilmore either saves the PGA Tour from Live or saves his family. They combine them both. Probably unnecessary, but I thought that the Live underpinnings actually kind of worked because it was over the top, cartoonish, and there are parts of Live that feel over the top and stupid and a caricature.
You know, maybe the sneakiest, funniest part of that though was that after all the PGA Tour and Live drama and guys spouting off at one another over the years, over the big contracts and leaving and yada, 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 was that this team that was chosen to save the tour was a mixture of 2 PGA guys and 2 Live guys.
That's very true.
Rom and Bryson were in there.
Here's what I thought this is what I thought was amazing and probably saved the movie from being a C in my mind. John Daly being a live-in uncle, a surrogate uncle, a drunk surrogate uncle that lives in the house, in the garage, basically. He was absolutely phenomenal, plays the best role John Daly could have possibly played in a golf movie about John Daly-isms. And Shooter McGavin being relegated to an insane asylum because he was driven nuts by happy success. I thought those 2 things are such tent poles. They are really smartly developed, brilliantly put together. And Daly was a great actor, and Shooter McGavin is unbelievable in this movie.
Highlight. He's the highlight.
Every time they were on screen, I laughed, and they were on screen almost the entire movie. You could pick and choose the other stuff, which was there was some really bad acting. Sure. The PGA golfers were terrible actors.
But
all
great
of them were
at the same time, right? Like that's what she said stuff with Morikawa and Schauffele. It wasn't that it was that funny, but I liked that they were trying. The Scheffler arrest stuff was perfect. Like if you're, because I don't know. I mean, you host a national talk show. I don't know how many like casual sports fans remember that or even knew it, but obviously to the golf community, that was really fun and funny. So I think there were some different things.
Yes, and Scheffler spends the entire movie in a jail cell, and by the end of it, doesn't want to leave.
Right.
Very funny. That's very funny.
Yeah.
But Shooter McGavin is so good, and the idea that he spent 30 years in insane asylum and then gets released, and for a multitude of reasons, but we don't have to get into the details, but then comes in to kind of like save the day with Happy and save the PGA Tour. I loved that writing. I thought it worked so well.
Some of the subtleties, especially around Shooter. So Shooter, to me, like there were, like you said, it's not a terrible movie. There are absolutely some laugh out loud moments. And I plan to watch it again. Like I watched it for the first time. I wanted to see it by myself. And then I'll watch it again, with my 12-year-old, because I showed him the first one very recently, like last week. And so now he's looking forward to this one. But I wanted eyes on it first, make sure it was still appropriate and everything. But now I'm going to be watching and looking for things that I didn't see the first time around. And there were little subtleties, even as it relates to Shooter. Like I saw him doing an interview recently, Chris McDonald, talking about how, do you remember in the first movie when, I don't remember where they were, but it was some event, and Virginia's there and Doug is there, who's actually the director of the first movie, whatever his real name is, and Shooter's like in the background, and like you're supposed to not know he's there, even though he's there with his back to you, and then they introduce him, he turns around, it's like, oh, where'd he come from? Where'd Shooter come from? They repeat the exact same thing in this movie, where again, it's Doug outlining the terms of this event to all the PGA golfers, and Shooter's just in the background, and he's like, and now to take you through it, like tell you how to whatever, Shooter McGavin, he just turns around, he's like, same thing. So it's just it feels like the Shooter. I don't think this is like a crazy thing to say. Of all the like lore that was Happy Gilmore and so many of that era of Adam Sandler movies, I'm not sure there has been over the test of time a more heralded, famous, long-lasting, still loved, beloved character than Shooter McGavin.
Totally.
Like Christopher McDonald has lived off of playing that character. For anything else he has done in Hollywood, he's talked about it. He gets stopped in the airport, like Shooter, and he, hits him with the guns. And so, like, for him to get to reprise this and not miss a beat along the way it was incredible. Like, that in and of itself, to me, if you like the first one and who doesn't, makes it worth watching and just sort of gutting through, especially lasting through, because most of his stuff is in the back half of the movie.
Correct. Here were my gold stars, and then here were my losers. Okay. My gold stars, Ben Stiller, still fantastically funny.
Sure.
Very funny, aggressive role as the Alcoholics Anonymous counselor who hates Happy Gilmore and all the people trying to straighten out their life. Number 2, Bad Bunny as his caddy was
good.
Great. And I don't really like Bad Bunny. He was great as the caddy. Could it have been better?
No, he was awesome. I mean, it's
awesome.
And also, like, going back to the PGA thing, I love that they, say that the caddy from the first movie grew up to be Will Zalatoris. Like, totally. That's funny too. So it's just, again, that continuation of that stuff. But no, he was, I was very skeptical when I saw the trailer or read about it or whatever at some point months ago. And so, like, Bad Bunny's we're reading about Bad Bunny.
It sounds like a terrible idea, but it works so well.
He's great. He's great.
Vern, it's nice that they brought back Vern. Vern struggled at times. Vern's obviously up there in age, but when Vern mimics Post Malone, what's his name?
I don't remember his name.
It's so stupid. Omar Gosh, DJ Omar Gosh. Okay. Is also on set. And Post Malone says, "That's some gangster shit." And Vern Lundquist says, "Gangster shit indeed." I'm like, that's great. That's really
That's
funny.
Your Bob Barker moment right there. The price is wrong, bitch.
That's right. Exactly. That was, all those things worked for me. What didn't work, I thought the 4 sons all stunk. I understood what they were doing. 4 meatheads. They were all Bruins fans. They were fighters. The acting of those 4 kids, the casting of those 4 kids, like, one of them felt like he could be a Sandler kid. The other 3 I thought were poorly casted. Number 2, Chubb's hand was so distracting. They didn't even try to make that hand look like his hand was bitten off at the wrist, and so he had a wooden hand.
Right.
He was like holding, you could tell that
his arm went to like his knee.
Exactly. So he had a regular length arm and hand, and he was holding what felt like another forearm, obviously under the sweater, with the wooden hand. I just couldn't get past how lazy that what would you call that? The
prosthetic.
How lazy the prosthetic and set design or whatever the costume design was. It was like, come on, just try a little bit. Put something like a hook over his hand with the hand so it's just this much thicker. Like you said, it was down to his leg.
Go ahead.
Also, the Buscemi character, he plays this character, the weird neighbor, probably unnecessary, although him sitting on the couch with Daly, I guess, is kind of funny. The Haley Joel Osment, very good new villain, if you will. Very, very funny.
Did you ever see the Entourage movie?
No.
So he pretty much played the same guy, minus the, clipped ligament that allowed him to hit a golf ball 500 yards. But like that was sort of where we were first, I think, introduced to like villain Haley Joel Osment era. And yeah, he's like, obviously he's intended to be funnier in this movie than he was in that movie, although they're both technically comedies, but this more slapsticky. But I don't know. Like, he was fine. He's not what I envisioned in a role like that, and they could have gone a bunch of different directions.
I thought it worked, and I thought how over the top the Live Tour guys was kind of like it started to get into a little, what was it, Pixel, that movie where he fought the video games.
So Reggie Bush was one of those guys.
Right. So Reggie Bush was very good, but like the scenery, the CGI, that started to become a little bit too much. But I thought they had to thread the needle on a new generation and an old generation. They had to do a lot of nods to 1995 and also bring in your sons, who are what, aged between 9 and 13 or something like that?
Sure, yeah.
So they have all these new characters like Bad Bunny. They have to get these podcasters in there as well that are hip right now. They have to strike while the iron's hot on this Live Tour type of stuff. And I thought they thread the needle pretty well. It was a tough ask to satisfy both groups. And it wasn't perfect, but it was a pretty honest effort. And like I said, I give it an A-. So that's my pros and cons. Where are you on this?
So there are a couple of things. I agree with a lot of what you said. The cameos, because there were like 75 cameos in this movie between the golfers and people you wouldn't even necessarily recognize, depending on who you were. Like, I personally, I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, so I wasn't like, oh, there's Becky Lynch. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have necessarily, caught some of that stuff that another audience would have. But, being loyal to Sandler and Sandler movies, like we got Lovitz, we got for a second Nick Swardson, we got Buscemi, who you talked about, we got Dan Patrick,
Kevin Nealon,
but obviously he was in the first one. We didn't get, like, I was kind of waiting for, like, where's Alan Covert, where's Peter Dante,
fair,
where's fair or unfair, a scene that annoyed the shit out of me. I just I sat there just actively thinking, man, the way they're doing this is unnecessary. This is so forced. This is uncomfortable almost. Was him learning how to golf again and going out
so long
and
so long.
But it wasn't even just that it was long. It was going out in this foursome, the way they designed this thing, with the people that he went with, right? It's Margaret Qualley, who I realize is like big in Hollywood right now, but she was terrible. Eric Andre was awful. Martin Herlihy, who is, the co-writer's kid and used to be on SNL. So fine. But again, tell me that scene couldn't have been better with Covert or Dante or Tim Meadows or David Spade.
Yeah, right.
Or, they're just different ways for Dave Matthews. Like, he's been in multiple Sandler movies. Where was he? You know what I mean? So I know you can't get everyone in, like you said, trying to thread a needle with all this in terms of the audiences, but that scene to me, in terms of who was in it and the way it was played, was maybe the most over the top scene in the entire movie. The way they were either mocking him or celebrating their terrible shots, like Qualley doing the splits, Andre playing up his comedic presence. Like, it was just bad. It was a bad scene. Like, rewatch it, you'll hate it more. I promise.
Okay. All right.
That's the big one. I mean, there were plenty of pros, plenty of cons. I know we haven't even really talked about Travis Kelce, who didn't need to be in it. He was fine. He's just like the, because of the Taylor Swift thing, he's the hottest.
Yeah, too much Kelce. Too much Kelce. But, he's hot right now.
Too much in the movie. But, hot right now. The podcast is hot. He's legitimately funny. I'm not in the movie necessarily, but in general, the podcast is funny. His brother's funnier. I would have rather have seen Jason than Travis. But, there were, again, they tried to pack too much into 2 hours. That would be my biggest.
That's fair.
Right.
Yeah. Now there was a 10-pound burrito and a 5-pound bag, or whatever they call that.
Sure.
5 pounds of meat and a 3-pound burrito, whatever.
Yeah.
But yes. All right. So we both agree it's worth the watch, especially if you're a Sandler fan. It does not make bottom 10 Sandler movies ever. So that is a win. My friend Adam Coffin, look at this backdrop for Coff right now. Look, he's doing big things.
Beautiful Boston.
Right now on a roof deck in downtown Boston wearing his Happy Gilmore jersey. Well done, brother. Appreciate you dropping on by, man.
Always. Enjoy the show.
Thanks, dude. Adam Kaufman joining us here on a little mothership at the movies. Before we get to beam ups, I wanted to bring in our diaper DAlien, Jack Knight, because Jack is right now at a fevered pitch over MLB trade deadline, okay? He's also going to be running the show the next 2 weeks because the Market Marvel is going to be on vacation. And so let's bring in young Jack Knight here. Jack, who was the executive producer last week, did phenomenal work. Jack, we've got the trade deadline coming up. You are right now heading into college in the fall. You're going to attend my alma mater, Syracuse University. You reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I'm trying to get my foot in the door, get some experience. Got anything? I said, yes, I can keep you busy all summer. This is part of being busy. It's called being our trade deadline rumor guy. All right, so give me number 3, the juiciest trade rumor that's out there right now.
Yeah, number 3 is going to be a name that has been one of the hottest in baseball. Actually, a couple days ago, just had a scoreless start. Sandy Alcantara from the Miami Marlins.
Okay.
Won the Cy Young in 2022. 2 years left on his contract. You've got the Red Sox, the Mets, 2 teams that, are going to have bills coming up soon. And he's at a reasonable number contract-wise.
Okay, Sandy Alcantara. I like this. Couple of names out there to think about, Red Sox and Mets. What's the number 2 juiciest trade rumor?
Number 2 in a deadline void of bats. Any fans of baseball teams looking for hitters, you're going to have to pay the price. And if you're a Diamondbacks fan right now, you are excited about the return for Eugenio Suarez. He's 34 years old, rental player. He'll be looking to get one more big payday in the offseason, batting over 280, over a 900 OPS, smashing the baseball right now. One of the only Diamondbacks to be doing it. I'm thinking the Tigers and the Phillies, 2 teams that are really going all in this season.
Okay, I like that. And by the way, if you're listening to Sirius XM, the DA show with Babchick last Wednesday, Danny Wexelman joined us from MLB Network Radio, and she said that Suarez is the biggest name she expects to be traded at the deadline. So nice job on that one, number 2. What's your number 1 juiciest trade deadline rumor?
Now, this one comes with a lot of educated speculation, but there are some rumors that Mackenzie Gore, a 26-year-old, third-year player, really second-year player, 2 years left on a rookie contract, so a lot of flexibility for those teams going all in this year, viewed as a number 1 potential ace if he develops. Yankees and Cubs are in it, 2 teams with a lot of prospects to trade, a big farm system. This would be a guy from the Nationals. You'd have to really pay a price, but if you want to win now and in the future, it's worth it. You can never have too many high-level starters.
Nice job, Jack Knight. 1, 2, and 3 juiciest trade deadline targets. I love it. Good job, buddy. Great job last week. And the next 2 weeks, you're on the board, okay? You're ready to rock the next 2 weeks.
Deadline is 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, so get ready for a lot of notifications from your phone.
Okay, very good. Jack Knight, diaper DAlien in the truest form. First 18-year-old diaper DAlien working on the show. Any show of mine. Gotta love it. Kid's a grinder. We love that out of him. Time to welcome on another grinder, the Marquette Marvel, Aiden Hatton, for a little permission beam-ups here on Watch DA Live on a Sunday night. Aiden Hatton, Marquette Marvel, you just had yourself a weekend last week, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I was in the Windy City of Chicago, and the late July, early August vacation days to burn are in full effect. Went to Wrigley, went to a Cubs game, saw Jack and I's beloved Red Sox. So I don't think they'll be trading Jarren Duran at the deadline, but yeah, big props to Jack, obviously, for covering for me there, and also using the word void very sharply there, and also the pronunciation of Eugenio. That's a tiptoe line that you have to cross, and he did it very well.
Before we get to beam ups, Aiden, I wanted to show you what I've been drinking and eating this past week. Okay, you ready for this? We've got Exhale cocktails here. All right, and I want you to.
I'm almost surprised, like I didn't make it, but here's the setup.
Yeah, so this is what I've been enjoying the last week. On Wednesday, I headed upstate to my buddy from high school, Mike's Lake House. a couple of minutes outside of Utica. It's about 45 minutes outside of Syracuse.
Is
Is
this
this
Mike
beautiful
from
lake
the
house.
fishing trip?
This is no, different Mike, but
You got a lot of Mikes in your life.
but
damn.
yeah, so I was drinking Labatt Blue Light. My goodness, do they feel so fresh? It's like drinking a Guinness in Ireland. The Labatt Blue Light, upstate New York, feels so fresh right in front of that lake with the sun coming down, the sunset. Then over the weekend, I went down to Cape May, New Jersey. That's the southernmost point of New Jersey on the Jersey Shore. It's crab country. And me and the Bourbon Bell, we love eating crabs. And so I went down there. That's Cape May Brewing. They do great beer. I got a crab on the can. You can see that it's kind of a crab fest. And we did all you can eat crabs. And there you go. That is my tray. That is not me and my wife's tray. That is my tray. I finished 17 Blue Claws, 17 crabs. That's right. You take that mallet, you smash them, and you dig into the meat of them. You smash the claws, you smash the legs, you smash the bodies, you pull off the backs, and they are all types of delicious. And so that was my week last week, my exhale cocktail and exhale crab meal. Does it get any better than that? A little batty, a little Cape May, and a lot of crabs. I like them apples.
I don't think anybody likes Labatt Blue Light more than you in the Continental 50. And the question I have here is, how do you balance the IPA diet and the light beer diet? I'm not an IPA guy myself, but I wonder how you, again, similar to the Eugenio pronunciation, kind of tiptoe the line in a course of an afternoon.
Well, Labatt Blue Light I can obviously drink more of. The IPA is always got to be a little more worried because it's a higher octane. I think that IPA is 6.4. So, if I do That's 2 low. Or 3 IPAs, more than good. It's going to take more than 2 to 3 Blue Lights for me to really be feeling good. So you just got to make sure you understand the rules of engagement and the type of octane you're working with. But really, the Cape May, that was really like 1 or 2 because I was in the area, local beer, tastes good with dinner. That was not like I'm crushing beers by the lake all night with my buddies. So, a little bit different.
Fair enough. I wonder, and I teased this before the show as we went live, that I have my own exhale cocktail, not from Chicago, not from any of my life experiences, but actually from Happy Gilmore too. Oh. And I'm shocked that you and Koff didn't go after this or notice this. And by the way, the cameos from, I got to shout out my personal favorite, Scotty Scheffler, because you briefly mentioned it, but the jail stuff, I thought he was the winner of the movie for me. Also, my guy Jordan Spieth with I think you actually put Bombay in this, but I asked for a Tanqueray and tonic. Very good. But speaking along those lines of cocktails, how about friend of the show, Guy Fieri, and Santo Tequila making an appearance on the show. So let's bring this up once, because not only did we get a Guy Fieri appearance, which he just like jumps right into the middle of the frame, which was amazing. No heads up that he was coming in. Nope. And also no heads up that we had our tequila, Santo Tequila.
Oh, I didn't even see they were pouring Santo in there. I thought your reference was just that Guy made the movie when you said before the show.
So I got you here.
Santo made the movie. I didn't even notice that. Amazing.
Look at that. That is the director of Maxi Golf pouring everybody a little shot on, I believe that's the first tee box.
Yes.
And you can see the logo clear as day there. And I saw the movie on Saturday and saw it right at the beginning. I'm like, holy crap, that's the Santo logo. So I totally thought you caught this. And I'm glad that we're doing this live.
That's freaking awesome. I didn't even see that. I was so fired up that Guy was in it. And it's so funny because he doesn't even really get introduced. Like you said, it's just like, oh, suddenly there's Guy Fieri and he's like leading the proceeding for the Live Tour. And at one point, he's just wearing a Viking helmet. And he's not even saying anything. He's just on stage. And I said, Guy is awesome. He is so awesome that his persona could just be crazy enough and fun enough to be wearing a Viking helmet. And that just seemed like that would be what he would do. I just thought that was awesome, but that is great. Santo Tequila. who's coming back, I believe, for year 2 on Watch DA Live for all of our football guests. I believe we will have them return. So that's going to be awesome. Great catch by you. Love it.
Thank you very much. That had to tie into the main takeaway of mine from the movie was that Santo was in it. Guy was in it. I'm glad you mentioned Vern Lundquist as well. I didn't think he was as bad as you thought because the gangster shit, that was almost the line of the movie for me.
Totally.
And also fellow hip hopper, obviously Post Malone sitting next to him. But how about Eminem getting killed off by the Gators?
Really good.
Also an awesome moment.
Really good. Again, it's corny and campy in a lot of ways, but a lot of the cameos were pretty good. And Eminem being likes to fight guy torn apart by alligators was pretty awesome.
It was great. So I just dumped my case of takeaways. You and Koff did most of them. So I didn't think I wouldn't give it an A-. Again, I think you're on an island when it comes to that. But it exceeded my expectations because I did read a lot of the tweets, for the first 24 hours of how bad can this movie get.
Anybody that says that hasn't watched the full Sandler catalog. I'm glad that Kaufman brought that up. If you've watched the full Sandler catalog, there's 5 to 8 movies that are so deplorable that it's not even in the same conversation to put Happy Gilmore 2 in. So
if you're an old school DAlien, you remember a Mothership at the Movies featuring Hubie Halloween.
That's right.
Worse than that, right?
Way worse. I couldn't even finish Hubie Halloween. All right, so we got some beam up comments we want to go through here.
We do, and some love for Mo pouring in. Just that has to be at the top of the list today. Dupree on YouTube, Mo Gaba Day, always special. And thanks to everybody really for pouring the love in the comment section for Mo, especially for those that don't know the story. And we're going on, is it 4 years or 5 years since
I think it's been 5
today?
years since he passed. I believe it was July 28th, 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Just so happened I wore my Mo shirt to the gym the other day and just didn't even realize. So
how about that?
Yeah, good timing.
That's awesome.
Brent on YouTube, our newcomer of the night. We'll have to rewind and watch this whole thing. Love the topics being advertised. So even with no sports going on, we got a little baseball sprinkled in here.
Let me tell you,
satisfy the crew.
This is the time of year where a sports talk host earns his or her keep, because when we do a show like October 11th on a Sunday night, it's like there's not enough time to go over everything. When you do a show on July 28th, I'm like, boy, I'm clicking into 5 different websites I haven't looked at in about a year because I'm like, what's going to hit? What's going to be interesting? What's going to be work? What am I really passionate about? There's just, it's slim pickings these days, but I'm glad that you like the selection, because that's why I think this show being weekly works so well. I can always find 5 topics every week that I feel really good about. It's when you do a daily show and you go like, how am I going to find 5 topics every day to talk about in the middle of July? Me and Babs do a good job of it. Me and Mraz did a good job of it, but not everybody has a Babs or a Mraz to really, make things light and to tell stories and to be silly. So this is where you earn your keep.
So in one comment, I'm going to tee you up, speaking of you and Babs, for the Bar A recap. But Delta 9 Brian, member of the Jedi Council, have to get this in here. Kaufman mentioned the Entourage movie and Haley Joel Osment's part in that. I do need to get past season 3 of Entourage. I'm so glad that he put this in here. I'm currently rewatching Entourage, going to California next week. Have to get in all my Malibu references. So just a personal shout out to Delta 9 Brian and a salute. Keep on the good fight, man. Keep going, because it's one of my favorite shows. So
very nice.
That's a great shout out there. But I wanted to end, and as in Happy Gilmore, tee it up for you with Wallace's comment. I wish I had the time to be the new Mike in the OC. I think this is the perfect tee off to get into a Bar A recap from the Jersey Shore. Lots to go over.
Yeah. So first of all, as I read through the comments, It's funny. YouTube goes, well, when you have members of the show, make sure to highlight their comments. And I'm like, yeah, YouTube, and they have these administrators that kind of help you walk through membership and having a channel and live chats, and they're great. They create this really cool ecosystem to work within, which is why I'm excited about doing it every single week and building this channel and doing the memberships. But they're like, yeah, always, make sure you highlight the members. I'm like, you don't realize how often our members comment. If you can't go over every single one because our members, their comments are all like, constantly throughout the entire show. And I think that's the beauty of the loyalty we have here from our watchers, our viewers, our listeners. And I truly love it. And so I say that because Mike and the OC is known for being a little bit too much. It's different though in comments, which is why I love comments, which is why I don't feel so strongly about the calls. And here's what I mean. Mike of the OC is a Sirius XM Mad Dog Sports Radio caller for many, many years. And I have nothing but admiration, respect, and appreciation for the subscribers that have been at Mad Dog Sports Radio for many, many years. Dog came to Sirius XM, I believe, in 2009. So you're talking about 16 years. And some of these people logged on, signed up for a membership subscription the day that he left WFAN for Sirius. So though I, of course, have nothing but gratitude to those people. But Mike of the OC is one of those guys that takes it to the next degree and calls every show he can throughout the day with the same take. And it's kind of a game for him to see how many times he can get on the air in one day. So on our last Q&DA, our last Ask DA Anything, our first one for members only in July, I went on a big time rant about this and how I disagree with the philosophy that I think my bosses adhere to, which is all calls are valuable calls. All calls are good calls. I believe you have to make sure you take the right calls, because if you take the wrong calls, people listening in their car or on their phone or whatever tune out, which is why I love comments. If you're in the chat, nobody's getting in your way if they send 12 comments. But if I'm taking phone calls and the same person called up 4 times the same show to say the same thing, you'd be like, come on, what are we doing here? Mike of the OC is that guy. So I went on this long rant on Friday. I did see him, and I will tell you that because I believe in treating everybody the way that I would like to be treated, I said, I'm going to make sure that I bring my best self, even though this totally annoys me. And I brought a last dive bar glass for him because it said Oakland Coliseum on it. He's a LA guy or an Orange County guy in California, and I thought he would appreciate the history of a California baseball team, football stadium, baseball stadium, etc. He appreciated it very much. And at the end of the day, he's a good guy. It's just that he likes to hear himself talk a little bit too much. And I said, Mike, what is your record for calling in a day? And he said, well, my record, I believe, is 5. I said, you got on the air 5 times? And he listed off the 5 hosts/shows. And I said, Mike, don't do that. Don't do that anymore. Now, I don't even know if we have 5 shows on the channel that you could call. He's still sleeping when we're on the air here on the East Coast, so we never get his phone calls. But starting with Adam Shine after me, if he goes Shine, then the midday show, which will be Stephen A., then Mad Dog, then After Dog, the nighttime show, you're already at 4, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Can you squeeze in a 5th if we have another live show? I'm not sure. We've got a replay going on. It's just wild. That, though, was the thing everybody wanted to talk about, me finally meeting Mike and the OC. I had such a good time there. I met such great people. The Sirius XM listeners that come out to those types of things really do show like what loyalty to a channel is all about. And they were all great. They've been great to me. I mean, by and large, they've been great to me. And especially now that I'm more established there after 2 years and me and Babs have a real fun show, that it was just a great vibe. And as you can see, me and Babs ended up wearing the same thing. That's a Tropical Bros shirt. I knew Babs was going to wear his because that's basically his only good Hawaiian. I said, you know what? It's my favorite Hawaiian, and I think it'd be pretty funny if we wore the same thing. So we did. And it just ended up being a really fun, cool day. That's Robbie in Michigan. He has the Tiger Roar. That's Medicated Eric, who is a big whack packer guy from the Stern Show, which is just amazing that he decided to be, down there watching us. He's a big sports radio fan. I just met a bunch of cool listeners. They all wanted to say hello and take a photo and have a good time. Some offered to buy me beers. The Bourbon Bell came down. AJ was down there. My mom came by as well on our way down to Cape May. That's Steve Torrey, our program director. And it just ended up being pretty awesome. And Dog was in rare form. There he is, screaming into the mic with the crowd out there. And ultimately, we had this very weird moment where Steve Torrey, our boss, is kind of like humping Babs. And we also had a moment where Babs takes the stage and the rains come. And I was not there because we had to bolt out of there. I told the crew, I was like, I wish I could stay and do the show with Babs after this, but I'm like, we're 2 hours still away from our Airbnb. And if I put AJ in the car at 7 o'clock p.m. and get him at this Airbnb at 9, and then we finally set up his pack and play and he's down at like 9:30, there will be hell to pay all day today and all day tomorrow. It will be ugly. And so I can't afford this. So everybody understood. I got out of there when Doggy took the stage, but when I was there, it was freaking phenomenal. And I just appreciated everybody that stopped on by. It was really, really cool. And good vibes, really good vibes. I said Medicated Eric. It's Medicated Pete, who was there from the Stern Show. So that was pretty cool. And he's a big Mets fan, so I brought him a Mets t-shirt, Mets sweatshirt, actually. No, Mets button-down shirt, which I thought he could wear and enjoy that. As I mentioned before, just a three-pronged thing. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. That way you get notified and alerts when we go live on Sunday nights. So that's going to be great in the fall. So you know when we're live after the day of football and before Sunday night football. We always have these great guests and break it down everything from the day. Make sure you are joined as a member for the Ask DA Anything live chat coming up on August the 8th. Okay, also, we have personalized emojis, custom emojis. You got to love all of those. And you get a permanent discount to the store. And speaking of the store, it is Mothership merch at the website, watchdastore.com. If you're a member, you get 15% off. That kind of pays for itself. Just end up, if you're with us for a month or two, bada bing, bada boom, you use the 15% off and it pays for itself when you buy the merch. So you might as well just be a member and then go shop with the code and you are good to go. And if you're a member, you need the code, just reach out to me on social media and I will hook you up with the code via DM. Okay. So just let me know what you need right there. Let's get out of here tonight. Before we say goodbye, since it is a Mo Gaba day, with a Mo Gaba laugh of the day, shall we? And the Mo Gaba laugh of the day is Jared Allen. Jared is an NBA star, and Jared Allen got married over the weekend. And check this out. As Jared Allen gets married, he decides to do the High School Musical dance at the wedding. Watch this. That's awesome. That's really awesome. I don't love every TikTok dance. I don't love every TikTok trend. I do tend to think that it becomes a little bit too artificial, a little bit too rote, a little bit too inauthentic. But that feels really good and wholesome. There's Jared Allen, who certainly is of the age to have been young during High School Musical. Him and his wife, beautiful bride, doing it at their wedding. They're like not too good at it. So it's not like they've been practicing every day for 3 months. That makes me very happy. They're good enough to where it's not like a waste of time. It felt good. And that would definitely be something that Little Mo laughed at. Would it not? That would definitely be something Little Mo laughed at. Just a reminder, today is the anniversary of Mo passing away. There are going to be things that you hear in the media, you watch on social media, you see in your neighborhood, on your phone, on TV, on the radio, on your social media feed, something happens to you, something is mean, somebody is awful, somebody cuts you off, and you will want to explode. This happens to everybody all the time, especially in the din of the noise and the anger that is out there on your phone, and and out there, for people to sit in and breathe in. I highly encourage you to think about Mo today, but just going forward. Because when I do, it pops the balloon on the nonsense that you realize, right, that has nothing to do with me. Right, I don't have to choose to absorb that. That's right, I don't have to wear that. I get to choose what I wear. I get to choose how I feel. I get to choose my attitude every single day. It's a powerful, powerful thing. And it takes a young man like Mo to really hammer that home. Because how could a young man be so wise without that many years on earth? But he knew it, he had it, and he delivered it. So when there are those moments, because something happens, it happens to all of us, real or imagined, on your phone, on TV, or what actually happens in real life, take a moment, think about Mo, and you will find yourself better for it, I promise you. And the coolest part about what happened with us as a show and Mo is that it lasts forever. And I'm just forever connected to Mo and that family. Like I said, I go down to the Ed Block Courage Awards every single year. All of that came out of my love for Mo. All of that came out of me talking about Mo. The more you talk about people like that, the more good things happen to you because of that. So keep them in your thoughts. Keep other people like that, talking about them, mentioning them. Could be a family member, could be a friend, could be somebody that you didn't even know, but you read about, you saw, you learned about. You keep talking about people like that, you will always be better off for it. So many good things and good people have come to me because I talk about Mo. I promise you, same thing will happen whether for you it's Mo or somebody else like Mo. But Mo for me is my hero, and today is Mo Gaba Day, and I'm so glad it ended up that we did a show on Mo Gaba Day. My man. All right, that's going to do it for us this evening on the show. I almost said this morning because that's my normal send-off in the morning. Jack Knight, Diaper DAliens, going to be running the controls next week. Good job by him tonight. Great job by Adam Kaufman as well. My cinephile, my movie reviewer, and of course the Marquette Marvel, Aiden Hatton, running the controls as always. Thanks, everybody. I love you very much. Thank you for loving Mo as well. So many great comments. Made me feel so good. Heart is so full. We will see you tomorrow morning on Sirius XM and next Sunday night right here on all of these social media channels. Be good. Be good to one another. The mothership disconnects.